So they just kind of made a bigger Santa Fe. And I think that works.
Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our weekly show on cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm Doug Stewart, digital executive producer for Fox 61 in Hartford. And with me is my good friend Glenn Packman, who is a car enthusiast, all-around good guy, interior designer, and real estate appraiser, and comedy genius, right? So, yeah, yeah.
It's
Uh,
not genius. But anyways.
yeah, he's the funny one. Uh, so Glenn,
Yeah.
one of our favorite car companies around here in Car-Pinionated World Headquarters
Mhm.
is the Hyundai Kia Genesis Group,
Mhm.
and they have decided, in their wisdom, I think, that they want to redo and come out with a new uh, Palisade,
Mhm.
the second gen Hyundai Palisade, and I figured out a mnemonic for how to remember which one is which. Are you interested?
Do tell.
So Hyundai, alphabetically, Hyundai, Kia, right?
Mhm.
Alphabetically, Palisade, Telluride.
Correct. Yeah.
So there,
Yeah.
it's alphabetical. I can now remember which one is which. I'm very happy. All right, so Palisade gets a redesign
Mhm.
that has 287 horsepower, 3.5 liter V6, and 8-speed automatic, a real true transmission,
Mhm.
not one of these CVT things.
Mhm.
It has two different drivetrains available, front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. Um, and it has the hybrid has a 329 horsepower setup. Um, there's also going to be XRT Pro model, which is going to be a lifted suspension, extra inch of ground clearance. Um, and it comes with driver selectable terrain modes for optimizing traction in mud, sand, and snow. Now, um, Glenn, you and I are both old enough to think a 6.6 second 0 to 60 time was blazingly fast,
Oh,
right?
yes. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so one of the articles that I saw on this new Palisade was like, modest acceleration.
Right.
Like, is that not crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
I don't know about you, but I go back and I watch the old Motor Week episodes on YouTube, and like it was a probably 11 seconds to 60. Like,
right. Right.
but that's slow.
Uh-huh. Right.
So tell me, what are you thinking about the new Palisade?
Well, let's first start by saying that the Palisade has definitely lived in its cousin's shadow since its introduction. It has not garnered the same level of attention that the Telluride has. The Telluride, as I mentioned before, is a coveted vehicle, and it's a class leader, and it's a critic's darling, and they hit all the right notes with the Telluride. And the Palisade is kind of virtually the same car. I mean, there's going to be some differences between company to company, but it's the same platform, and it's a different take on it. But it doesn't have quite the same mojo to it as the Telluride does. And I think that's been the biggest problem with it, is that when you look at the two cars side by side, everyone just, well, the Telluride, it's the better looking one of the two. It seems to, just the way that the car's stance is, just fits the mission better. And the name Palisade, which is actually just a geological term, I believe, more than anything else. A palisade is like a geological balcony above a river or body of
Okay.
water. That's what palisade means. But it sounds like, I think it's because palace, you know,
Hmm.
is the beginning. So it kind of inspires something a little bit more luxurious than Telluride, which town in Colorado where people ski and climb mountains and yodel. Um, they don't yodel. I
Yeah,
think
I was gonna say I don't think there's a lot of yodeling going on.
I
Yeah.
don't even think that's legal in Colorado. I'm sorry. But so there's the image thing going on. So I took a look at the redesign, and they obviously took some cues from the Santa Fe, which has been a good seller for them,
Mhm.
from what I understand.
You see
That
them everywhere.
yeah, that and it's the return to that boxy, straightforward kind of thing. And it's not a bad design. There's some styling cues in the Santa Fe that I'm not a fan of, but overall they got it right. So they just kind of made a bigger Santa Fe, and I think that works. Where it especially works is they have a luxury line in this, which is going to be the top end, where they've clad the C pillar in chrome and made a couple other changes to it. It it goes from I recall reading somebody that said that the car gave off Land Rover vibes. I think
Mhm.
in the Lux version it gives off Lincoln vibes,
Mhm. Very much so. Yeah.
big time, and that's not a bad thing. It looks luxurious. Um, I think that is where the bread and butter is going to be. Even though I like the XT version, which is going to be the one designed for off-road, it looks really rugged. There's always one thing, or it seems like there's always one thing about just about any car that just throws it off for me, and I'm just going to get out there with the redesign on the Palisade. On the entry level and the XT formats, if you take a look at the grill, there's the grill, and then there's a box that looks like a window unit air conditioner hanging over the bumper. Seriously, I took one look at it and said, why did they put an air conditioner on the front? It makes no sense. And I want to call Hyundai, and I was like, what in God's name is that? Amazingly, on the Lux version, that box goes away and it's
Oh,
like night and day better looking. But I cannot ever, I looked at the car and I'm like, oh, I really like it from all the other angles. And then I get to the air conditioner stuck right over the front license plate. It sticks out like a big, you know,
air conditioner.
yeah, it looks like a big air conditioner. It just does. I'm like, why? No, they didn't call me.
Yeah.
They didn't call me. So, it might be a minor complaint, and some people might go, oh, I don't know, it doesn't bother me. Great.
Well.
It doesn't bother you. It bothers the hell out of me. So, and like I said, take a look at the luxury version and how clean that front looks
Oh,
without
it's got the right amount of chrome. It's
absolutely,
got, those
absolutely.
roof rails. It's got a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
The one I see here on their website is like a deep, deep emerald green. It's really
Uh,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I saw one in almost a Lincoln Navigator blue, and it's just like, well, there it is. But to that end, I think also then are they splitting things up by trying to do the off-road rugged version and the really fancy one, you know?
Well, here's
I don't
here's
know.
the here's the thing, and I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now. That to not all, rugged versions are akin to slapping a sport badge on a car like
Right.
they used to, right?
Right.
And there's some that are like better suspension,
Mhm.
more lift, whatever. It's the outbackization.
Right. Right.
That's not really a word, but
You just
of
made it
of
up.
the
I'm going to go with
right,
it.
right.
It'll be in
Um,
Webster's within, a couple of
Right,
years.
but where it's a valid things are happening, and sometimes it's just different trim pieces.
Right.
Uh, and I think like there's a Rogue Nissan Rogue around here that is I think it's called a Rock Creek is their kind of trim level that they talk about being more rugged.
Mhm.
Um, I think you have to have that in an SUV these days.
Yeah.
I think that is just like part of the package. You have to have the base, you have to have the decent one, and you have
Mhm.
to have the luxury one, and you have to have the rugged, manly one,
Yeah.
right? So all those things have to be there. I I totally agree with you on this air conditioning thing.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
uh,
It's
I
not
have no,
just me.
no. It's also a I'm not a fan of that front end.
No,
You know,
no, no.
and I liked we talked about the Santa Fe when it first came out, and I was
Mm.
like, that looked really sharp. And the more I see them, the less I'm
My, I've said it before on this podcast. My big problem with the Santa Fe is looking directly on from the back end. The tail lights are just down too low and they're kind of
yeah.
cinched, and it makes the gives the car a weird
Yes.
proportion. It
Yeah.
doesn't something about it doesn't look right. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also just because I was thinking, okay, well, that's a good all around car. Maybe that's on our list for next cars down the road, and we were behind one. And I said, Bill, that's the Santa Fe. And he went, no, that was it. One, and we're done,
He uses his
and
veto
hey, but that's
sparingly,
that's
but
saying a lot,
important. Yeah.
and Bill doesn't know a lot about cars. I'm the car guy in
Yeah.
the family, obviously, and I've guided us into some good cars, but he knows what he likes and what he doesn't.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
we were, and he took one look and went, no, and we're
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. And with because these things happen in cycles, we'll see a new Telluride shortly as well.
right, right, exactly. And I'm
So,
fingers crossed on that one. So
yeah.
I I frankly they have been slowly tweaking and modifying the Telluride, and they're getting away from that original version that I liked so much. So I'm a little bit concerned where that's concerned, but we'll see.
Um,
We'll
yeah,
see.
we'll see. All right, we're going to take a break and come back. So we had a couple things. This is a kind of bits and bobs episode where we're going to talk about a couple other things. I wanted to talk about Stellantis, Dodge more specifically, has said that they were going to start producing a new midsize pickup truck in 2027. The late and missed Dakota, it's unclear if it's going to be called a Dakota or what they're going to call. They sh in I mean, I think you would agree with me that if they don't call it Dakota, that's a miss right
Yeah,
there.
right, right.
Um, Supposed to take place in Belvidere, Illinois, a plant that's been idle since 2023. And I'm thinking, Glenn, this is my question for you. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know
Mhm.
how, if it's going to be a unit body, or we don't know if it's, what its dimensions are, or any of that stuff. What do you think? What do you think we'll call it a Dakota? What do you think it needs to be popular in the market space?
Um, it Boy, that's a hard question. Where Chrysler's concerned, it's always been those cars that are the Phoenix cars that make the brand rise from the ashes over and over again. Um, and it's so hard to say because what I want to say is, well, it needs to have a very distinctive look to it, but nothing too crazy. It needs to be rugged but accessible. It needs to have that first generation Durango feel to it, where it was a car that people just wanted to be in. They sold a
Hmm.
ton of them because it had that mojo to it. So I
Hmm.
think we're talking about something that's really hard to put a finger on. I am the former owner of a Chrysler 200, which was an all-around very good car. Excellent? No, not an A plus, but I always felt really neat styling. A couple of things I would have tweaked, but for the overall shape of the car was just beautiful. And I thought this is going to be a good hit for them because they need it, and it's it's real. It's got more class, more statement to it in this four-door sedan market than it should, and the car was a miss. It was just a miss. Part of it was the transmission, a lot of it was just the way they marketed the car, but it was a miss. So,
I think they didn't know how to sell it at a time
yeah,
when sedans weren't being and
right.
and and we've talked about it before. When people who don't know about cars want a sedan, well, let's go get a Camry. Let's go get an
Yes.
Accord. At the time, a lot of them were saying, let's go get a Fusion. Oh, what? There's a Chrysler? Well, you
Right,
know,
right, exactly. Even though it was, I'm still going to say that my car was better looking than all of those put together.
at the
It
time,
didn't
yes. Yeah,
matter.
yeah,
Didn't matter.
yeah.
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 But I digress. So it needs to have that something that it needs to get people to want to sit in the car,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to go back again to that first generation Durango because there was something about that car.
Well, that first generation Ram, I'm not the first gen, the 93 Ram
Uh-huh. Yep.
with just came out with the higher hood and the lower fenders,
Right,
you
right,
know,
right.
and and
Yep.
I clearly remember the first one I saw on the road, and it was somewhere between um Texas and New Mexico. We were driving. I saw it coming in the opposite direction, and it was that bright Pepsi blue. And I
Hmm.
said, that car is gonna be a hit. That
Yeah.
car, they're
Yeah.
gonna sell all of them. And because it captured something.
Hmm.
It was like, here is all the things you want, and it's a little different. It's not
Yeah.
way different. It's just a different enough so you stand out, right?
Right. Right.
And the Ram has been, a decent truck since then. I mean,
Right.
if you look at comparisons between the F-150, all the Silverados and things like that, a lot of times the Ram is the one that comes out on top.
Right.
They have some build quality issues, but anyway, it needs a strip price leader work truck.
Yeah.
Only
Yes.
comes in white and silver
Yeah.
with steely wheels,
Hmm.
and a big Dakota on the tailgate.
Hmm.
All right. Then you need a value equipped, good looking. Every one of these vehicles looks like it's a class above it. That that price point. I think they used to call me SXT or whatever that SE trim is, what it
Right.
used to be.
Right.
Then you need something nicer. That is going to be the the, this is the one where most people buy, right? That's that LX, EX, whatever that kind of middle trim that grade is.
Right.
And then you need a luxurious top trim. I think they call it the Laramie on the Ram, I think. But that kind of trim level where
Right.
it's leather and lots of electronics and things like that. And then
Right.
you need what we've talked about is the rugged off-road version, right?
Yes.
And
Right.
and you make
Right.
this body on frame, you give it street cred or off-road cred, with a good set of shocks. Maybe you don't need to make it a Raptor version, but if you what is the Ram one, the TRX? There's a Ram Raptor
Yep.
competitor that
Right.
something, but that's what you
Yep.
need. And I think if you have those five grades in there, and
Hmm.
it's body on frame, and it's a good size. Now I did a comparison between the last of the Dakotas, which was 2011, um, wheelbase of 131.3 inches. And to compare that to the new generation Toyota Tacoma, the kind of the short wheelbase version of it is 131.9. So within half an inch.
Right.
Ranger is 128.7, so a little bit shorter. A
Right.
Colorado is 131.4, so almost exactly that same thing.
Right. Right.
Um, Overall length, it kind of ranges by, what how long the bed is, how long the cab is. Ranges, all of these go about, they run 210 to 218 as
Hmm.
overall length.
Right.
Um, to compare, the Durango, which I know is an SUV, the current 2025 Durango, uh, is 119 inches wheelbase and 200 inches long. Jeep Gladiator, which I don't think should be used as a benchmark of anything,
Right.
um, uh, is 137-inch wheelbase and 218 inches long. So it's actually a much longer truck
Right.
than the
Right.
other ones. But I kind of see like, you know, you have to make it distinct, but can't you can't make it so that people go, huh? And I know
Right.
that's
Right.
that's not the as a design brief. I don't think that's very good.
No, no. Yeah, when people do the RCA dog logo, you know,
Yeah,
yeah, when the head get. I have an
yeah.
idea. I have an
Okay,
idea. Some people
right.
are going to shriek at this, but I can't hear them, so I don't care. Well, I care. I don't want anyone to
Yeah.
shriek. All right, so let's go back in time. We're going back in time. A big hit for Chrysler many years ago, and this is what's going to make people shriek, was the PT Cruiser. And I have read umpteen lists that said the PT Cruiser was one of the worst cars ever manufactured, and that is a load of bull.
Yeah.
Wasn't it wasn't designed to be a street racer. It was designed to be a small four-door car that swallowed up some stuff, and it was meant to be utilitarian
Yeah.
transport and do a great big nod back to the little station wagon woodies of the 50s. Okay, so the styling was polarizing on the car. Love it, hate it. They still sold, I think, 1.3 million of these cars.
They, those things were selling for over MSRP,
Right,
over
right,
MSRP,
right.
and they sold a ton of them.
Yeah, yeah,
And because it was considered a truck, it helped their fuel economy numbers
right, right,
because it was counted on the truck side of the equation. Well, not
right.
really a truck.
Exactly.
Um,
And had
but
a
it
little shifter
was
that looked like a golf ball. I mean,
right, right.
Um, so
Not my speed, but
no, no.
I think at the time, that time period, I think it was a big success.
It kind of replaced the Neon, which was sort of a boring little four-door sedan, and it was something interesting anyways.
Right, right.
So
But
love it or hate it.
even the two generations of the Neon have their fans.
Oh, sure. The first
You know,
the first gen was the first gen was kind of interesting, and they were doing some different things with the styling, and they were trying to push things forward. Not everybody loved it, but I thought, again, they did a good job. I bring this up, as a complete sidebar. Um, Specifically here in America, we have a love affair of the old pickup truck. How many TV programs does the hero drive a pickup truck built before 1990? All of them. The country doctor, what does he show up in? He's driving a 1975 Ford pickup, and I'm serious that there is this real love affair of the old pickup. And
Mhm.
I'm wondering if that's the answer. If Dodge comes up with that sort of update on the old pickup look. You know what I mean? Uh, it's worked for others. Look at the Bronco. I think the
Mhm.
Bronco is really a success story in both its forms. The Bronco and the Bronco Sport. But they both work. And I'm wondering if that's the calling card for the Dakota. Don't make a PT Cruiser, obviously. Don't make anything that polarizing. But
Besides, but the designer of the PT Cruiser is the head of design for GM now, so he's
oh,
unavailable.
really? See, I
Yeah,
should know that, and I don't.
Brian Nesbitt. Yeah, who also, and we've mentioned this before, who also designed the Chevy HHR.
Right. The Me Too Cruiser. Right. Yeah. Uh, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, we all know where that came from. Come on. Uh, but either way, I'm thinking that there's nothing like that on the market. What if someone managed to catch that mojo in a new pickup truck?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine that that's what that base is? it has a bench seat. It has a shifter on the column.
Right.
You know, it,
Well, column
but
shifter. Yeah,
yeah,
I hear you.
but
I hear
you hear
you.
what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like a back to basics, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Why not? Why
And
not? Why not?
look at the um kind of following the slate paths
Hmm.
because it's bare bones. It's back to
Right,
basics.
right,
And
exactly.
I'm like I think slate should be slate. I don't think Dodge needs to be slate or
No,
Ram
no,
needs to be slate.
right.
But I think that they have to think about that, like, find those values, find those touch points, find
Sure.
that hidden message.
Sure, sure,
So
absolutely. And it's funny because just recently we were talking about, Americans like their tech in the cars, and we do. I'm not
mhm.
saying that it should be technically backwards, but it would be nice to have something with retro nods to it. It doesn't need to be a retro vehicle. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm wondering if that, because isn't that going to set it aside, apart from the
Because
glob of other trucks out there,
right, but look at that space. You have the Tacoma, you have the
Right.
Ranger, you have the
Mhm.
Colorado, you have the Canyon, you have the Frontier, you have, and I'm missing something, I'm sure, but you have all those vehicles that are fighting, scrapping for that space,
Mhm.
and you need something to like lift your head up above the crowd, you
Right,
know,
right,
where
exactly.
you know all those things have something about them that like Toyota has the the Tacoma has been there for years and it has a reputation and the Ranger the same thing and
Right,
but
right.
anyway all right that's going to bring it to a close here for this week. Remember that you can watch us on YouTube. You watch all our old episodes on YouTube, and with that we will bid you a fond farewell.